I think it was 3 years ago that I was here for my first LongShowNite, so it's good to be back on this stage with our friends. So thank you, each and every one of you for being here tonight. It means so much to SMT and the work that we do for Tibet. It really does. And before I go on, I just want to mention that you'll notice that our MCs, our great hosts, did a little bit of introduction about our international staff. But Tenzin Doka, Executive Director, is unable to attend tonight because she's expecting any time this week. Making ones and babies. And so she's not here. But I think I'm gonna say a few words tonight, but I think I want to start off by just acknowledging to our friends and to our people in the movement that it has been a very difficult year, right? It's been a hard year this last year for us, for Tibetans inside Tibet, for the Tibetan freedom movement. And the continuous self-immolations, the continuous or further crackdowns on our Tibetan writers, our intellectuals, the recent sudden death or murder of Tenzin Rinpoche in Chinese prison. All of these things, it's not easy for us, right? And I know many of you are feeling hopeless sometimes. And I feel hopeless from time to time. That's the honest truth. That's how I feel from time to time. But let's not forget the victories that we've had this year as well, right? The victories that we've had since the last LongShowNite. There's been so many. Do you remember the last LongShowNite who came here last year? I talked a little bit about China's soft power. China's soft power that's coming through to our countries, in the United States, in the UK, through our education system. Do you remember that? Who remembers that conversation that I said, who remembers? I don't want to have round applause. I'm saying, who remembers? What am I talking about? Who remembers what I'm talking about? What am I talking about? Say it, shout it out.
Confucius.
Yeah, exactly. Confucius Institute. The Confucius Institute, China's propaganda machine, China's soft power is coming into our schools, into our universities, our high schools, to bring their propaganda, to bring their lies about Tibet, about Taiwan, about Tiananmen, about all these sensitive topics, to shut down His Holiness, to not bring him to our universities, on our campuses. And so that was a big concern for us last year. And after LongShowNite, we launched that campaign to bring awareness about Confucius Institute, to shut them down. And since then, like a few months after that, we shut down Confucius Institutes all across Toronto. Do you know what that means? It means 250,000 students across Toronto will not receive Chinese propaganda, will not receive China's lies on Tibet, or on His Holiness the Dalai Lama, or on Taiwan. It means 250,000 students will have academic freedom. Academic freedom is protected. And that's a huge victory for Tibet. Straight after that, we shut down the Confucius Institute in one of Germany's top universities, Stuttgart University. Shut it down. That's what we do at SMT, we shut things down by China, right? After that, we shut down Stockholm University. Shut it down. China's crying right now. We shut it down. So from that whole year, that year and a half, we actually helped shut down 8 Confucius Institutes across the world. We're protecting Tibet, protecting the discussion of Tibet, protecting His Holiness's freedom to travel and to speak out, to speak on compassion, to speak on peace at these universities. Another recent victory that we've had is the release of a Tibetan hero. Just yesterday, Rungi Ada was released from Chinese prison. Now, Rungi Ada is not just any hero. He's a nomad. And a nomad that spoke out for Tibet in 2007. In 2007, before all the riots, before all the noise from inside Tibet, when we really, in 2007, we didn't really hear, from 2007 before that, we didn't really hear much from Tibetans inside Tibet. There wasn't that much communication. We didn't know, we didn't hear what they were feeling, we didn't know exactly what was going on. But what he did was he kind of like changed the game to some extent. You know, he took this opportunity at a horse festival that he knew there were like 5,000 Tibetans were coming to this horse festival. And there were thousands of Chinese officials. And he went up to the stage, just like took the mic off me, and he's like, yo, Tibet is not free. There is something going on in our country right now. We need to wake up. We need unity amongst our people. We need freedom amongst our people. We need His Holiness to return back to Tibet. And China feared what he was saying. China went up to the stage and took the mic off him and arrested him and imprisoned him for 8 years. For that 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, but that less than 5 minute speech. And just yesterday, he was finally released, this Tibetan hero, alive and, you know, fairly well, just being released yesterday. So that's another victory for us. So we do have victories, you know. There are hard times, but we have to remember that we are winning as well. Every day we have these small victories. Tibetans inside Tibet are resisting. They're the ones facing the most torture, the most oppression, but they're resisting because they know there is a way. They know that we can win. They know that they... And so we have to remember these victories. But yes, but at the same time, we also have to remember and know that China is tightening their grip on Tibet, and Tibetans, and in China too. And we have to know that it's Xi Jinping that is tightening the grip on Tibetans and in Tibet. And that we have to know that right now, Tibet is in the worst situation. We're in the worst situation right now. Continuous self-immolations, continuous crackdowns. Xi Jinping tightening his grip. He just arrested 100 human rights lawyers. 100 Chinese human rights lawyers. This guy he's responsible for that. And he's responsible for the death and the murder of Tenzin Delek Rinpoche. And we have to know that. Who's responsible for that? It's Xi Jinping. And Xi Jinping is coming to the United States of America end of September. So all of this feeling that we've been feeling, this anger, this frustration, this need for action, we have to use that and get a bus, join us, join Students for Free Tibet and get a bus down to DC, end of September. We need to make sure Xi Jinping hears our voice. We need to amplify our responsibilities as Tibetans in exile. We need to amplify the voices of Tibetans inside Tibet because they've made it clear. They're not confused. Tibetans inside Tibet are not confused. It's freedom what they want. It's human rights. It's a freedom to be Tibetan in our own country. A freedom to practice what we want to practice. Let's not get confused. That is what they want. That's what they've been saying to us. And it's time Xi Jinping hears that. This September in DC, all of us, I want to hear like the mood, and during the break time, I want to see all of this crowd go all the way to that table, sign your names onto that list. Put your name, number, email address, because we're all going to take a bus down to DC and Xi Jinping is going to hear our voice. Xi Jinping is going to go back to China, go back to Beijing, hearing free Tibet, free Tibet, free Tibet, and he says, free Tibet, oh my God, free Tibet. He's going to be hearing that. We need to make sure he hears that. We do not want to miss this opportunity for Tibet and for Tibetans inside Tibet. Right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! That's right. I'll see you in DC.